Here we are with Church Chat. Let me, those of you that are joining us, welcome. Let me bring Pastor Bob into the picture here and
hey, everybody.
See what I can do. Let's see here. Now, there was a time that I knew how to do this. Oh, here we go.
All right.
All right, we will get this. I'm having a mild brain glitch here on how I did this before with bringing in dual people. Let's see here. 1 second. There was a way to do this. Okay, I got you on the screen right now, but let me put this back. And those of you guys that are tuning in, this is the joy of technology.
Mm.
If anybody wants, though, while we're figuring this out, you can certainly leave questions for us. I will certainly do our part to get to you on this. Okay. Well, I think we can, we'll just go ahead and chat a little bit, and I'll just flip in between back and forth. But, you know, there's a way to do the double screen thing. We've done it before. And for some reason, I am not able to get that option going here. And I don't know what the deal is. I got two here. And yes, Carrie Kelly says technical difficulties. Yes. And the reason why we didn't mess around with it a whole lot is because we could easily do it before. So here, okay, I think we're onto something here. Oh boy. A big moment in technology. There we go.
You did it. You did it. All right.
All right. Cool. So, Pastor Bob, how are you doing?
You know, I'm doing great, and I am excited to do this with you tonight. You know, it's a rare time when the Bobs get together to do a podcast.
It is. And just to shoot the breeze, one guy from my church just said brain farts. So, you know, that happens.
It does. And far too often.
Right. Yeah. Yes, my mind is quite gastric. So
yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, it is rare that we get to, you know, we have to go. We're doing virtual church for a while, and so whenever we do virtual, we like to provide this as a way of corresponding with each other and just enjoying some conversation. And honestly, I don't know where this is going to go over the next hour. So we just chat, and people have questions, or I know Carrie is someone that's watching right now. She's been down to Nashville before.
Hi, Carrie.
She's worked side by side with Bonnie.
She is awesome, and my mom loves her, as do I.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Carrie. Bob, you know what we're missing? We missed that theme music coming in.
Yes.
You know, something like da 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 da. You know, or something.
Little 70s.
You know, it's the Bob and Bob
style.
show. You know, that something like that would have been perfect for us. And
I'm thinking more of the Benny Hill theme song, you know, the yakety sax.
Well, that might be a little more appropriate. Huh?
Maybe we could get some metal band to put that into an instrumental, you know.
You know, I think that's a nice idea.
Yeah, I think it would be very good. So one guy says, cool. How does everybody like the snow? Corey asked, and you don't get much snow down there.
You know, we really don't. And it's been, well, earlier this week we had 70, 72 degrees, and I think it's a little chilly now. It's 60.
Ah, well, it is 34 here now.
Yeah. So, Bob, for the last 2 weeks, we've been inundated with pelicans. I
I
mean, of
saw
all
that.
things.
Saw that on your picture on
And
Facebook.
every year for the last 2 or 3 years now, pelicans come for about a half a day. There's just a handful of them, and then they're gone again. And it was a little bit of an anomaly when they first came of 2 or 3 years ago. It's just such a weird thing. We don't usually have pelicans. This year, there are hundreds. And when I say hundreds, there was one day we looked out right here on my lake, and the lake isn't huge, but there were probably 300.
Wow.
Yeah, all clenched together
Yeah,
and just it's incredible.
people
And
can
they've
see that on your
stayed
face.
now.
People can see that on your Facebook page, but what do you
Yes.
guys attribute that to? Because they don't eat the bread you throw out there or anything, do they?
No. Well, they eat everything. We have a lot of seagulls. They actually eat seagulls as well.
Well, that'd be something to see.
But weird, isn't it? Oh, they'll eat pigeons. They eat a lot of things. Of course, mostly fish, and there is a lot of fish here in the lake. So
Okay.
maybe that's keeping them fed. But yeah, it's strange. And people in this area, even the old timers, said we've never had penguins either, pelicans, here before. So yeah,
Now,
it's just a
now,
very
now,
strange thing.
be careful there. You said old timers. It's
Yeah.
we're
And that's a problem, isn't it?
yeah, right. We're approaching old timer age here.
Well, I think I'm already there, Bob.
Are
I
you?
think I beat you there. I'm on the slippery slope to 70, 2 more years.
2 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I
it
know.
is totally crazy.
My dad lives in town now, and he's going to be 81 in January. And I found myself a couple times this last year saying so and so drives like an 80-year-old. You know, my dad just looked at me. Like be quiet.
Well, my mom and I were having a discussion on bodily noises
Mm,
today.
yes.
And you mentioned farts, not that kind of bodily noise, but the kind of noises you make when you do different things, the noise you make when you sit down, the noise you make when you get up, the noise you make when you drop something and you reach down to get it. There's a different noise for everything.
There is.
And I'm not only noticing the noises, but I'll think, okay, I'm not going to make a noise this time. And then I do. It's like
Yep.
involuntary.
And usually it's like and then if you drop something, you go down making a noise, and you come up red faced because you had to bend over, and
Yeah.
it's no good.
And, and then there's a secondary noise when that happens, when you go, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So usually there's two noises, one during the act and then the other, the relief valve or the relief noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens, and
It
it's
does.
part of the aging thing.
Well, Carrie said she would take 60 degrees, so that would be a heat wave here at this point, which would be okay with because we got about 3 or 4 inches of snow today. So
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we rarely get snow, and it's kind of nice when we get it. I mean, because it's a rare thing. But Bob, I have been there with you when you've been in the middle of blizzards.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you were with us
Yeah.
that Sunday. We probably should have shut down, but we kept going anyways.
And that was fun. And we had trouble driving and finding the road, and
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
But I mean, the only thing that's derailed us is the COVID exposures. Otherwise, I've always said as long as I have a 4-wheel drive, we'll have church. So
Yeah, exactly.
and now it
Yeah.
makes it even easier. I mean, we don't even have to leave the house. If it's a blizzard day, we do church right online through Switcher.
Yeah. It's a new day.
It is.
Yes.
So let me see here. Corey said, "Hey, Bob Beeman is hope Bob Beeman is better and healthy. It does stink missing church, but it's understandable. I try to keep my mind busy, going hunting. My first year, the first 2 mornings you could see stars and the beauty of it. I'm like, this is relaxing. I don't have a lot of people to talk to much. So you guys doing this, thank you. It's very appreciative."
Oh, that's great, Corey. Good.
Yeah, I hope you
Well,
can meet him
hello to
sometime. If
Corey.
we take a trip down to Nashville, maybe Corey will ride along, and
That'd be awesome.
he's a big help with he's one of our leaders in the Royal Ranger program.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah.
Great, Corey. That's a great program. Good for you.
So
Awesome.
yeah, it
Yeah.
stinks missing church, but and I know you have thoughts on this, okay, Pastor Bob. That meeting physically, it does stink not meeting physically, but at the same time, anybody that's followed your podcasts, you have a few thoughts on this.
Well, yeah, of course I love getting together with people in person.
Yeah,
But I love technology as well. I think it's amazing, Bob, that you and I can sit here all of these miles apart, and still talk and still communicate and have people communicate with us. And church is about people. It's not about buildings, is it?
is it? No. Mm-mm.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I was just going to dig in and find my poster on that one. Here it is.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to be backwards,
No, looks
but
good.
this is the building, this is the church, and there's a difference, a distinction between the two.
Yep.
And it's great to have a building to hold church in, but the building only houses the church because church is people. So anytime people are getting together, even over the internet, we're having church.
Yeah. Yep. That is true. So yeah,
Hmm.
I get where people come from, saying, because I love doing this with you. I love doing this with church people, but honestly, I'd rather be down in Nashville sitting at the now. We
Yes.
have a moment of silence for Coy, and I don't know if Carrie's
I
heard that
know.
news or not, but yeah, Coy is gone, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't open up again, and we're
Huh.
just sad about that.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
I
I
went
would
to
rather.
hibachi yesterday
Oh, there you
because
go.
I mean I had to get the Chinese fix, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just sad.
But yeah, I mean, we'd all rather be together, but that's the beauty of it, is that we can do things like
Yeah,
this. And,
yeah.
you know, um, honestly, sometimes it's a pastoral confession here. I think sometimes I like this a little better at times.
I am positive that I do at times. I mean, there are times that I really love getting together with people,
Yeah,
and there are times when I'd rather just talk to them. I know they're somewhere there in that camera, and then
right. Well, and like one person, well, Gary Ziddick, he said, "Good morning. Just got back from the store." Gary he lives in Stevens Point, which is a half hour from us, and has been to our
oh,
church. I think, hey, Gary, can you remind me what concerts you came to at our church? I want to say it was when we had Glenn Kaiser and Rex Carroll doing their
oh,
duet
cool, yeah.
show. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, it was a really good concert. And then Julie Jape, another one from the church, said, "Hi, Pastor Bob's from Mike and Julie." So,
Oh,
um,
good. Hello.
yeah,
Great.
this is probably the first time they've gotten to chat with you through messages and stuff. So,
Yes.
um, so
Awesome.
yeah, but yeah,
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
it's nights like this where it's slushy and nasty out. I don't mind sitting behind a keyboard and all of that. So
We'll be
that's
we'll be
fine.
keyboard warriors.
Right. Hey, so here's a question for you, because those that are watching, they probably know you're down in the Nashville area. Okay, so Gary said it was the Rex Carroll Glenn Kaiser concert that we met at. Um,
Oh, good.
but Corey asked, he goes, "I'm curious, Pastor Bob Beeman, did they make CBD legal by you? What's your take on it?"
Um, I love CBD. Yeah, are we talking about the CBD oil that you
Yeah,
can
and really
use?
quick, hi Cheryl. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. It's I take it every day, and it helps so much. And my mom has a lot of back problems, as you know,
Yeah.
and she rubs that on every morning, and her back problems have gone away. So it's an herb. It's a very strong herb. Um, one that I think you works very well. I don't believe now if you're talking about the marijuana part of it, that's a different part of a
Well,
plant, and
and that's
one is male,
interesting.
one is female. Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's good you brought that up. So, to educate the person who asked this, there's a difference between a CBD store, like we have one right in Main Street. There, the owners go to our church,
yeah.
versus smoking bud. There's
Well, yeah, they're both basically from the same kind of plant. One is male and one is female, and you can't get high from CBD. There's nothing. It doesn't have any the hallucinogenic powers and that marijuana does, that pot has. Um, but it's just very medicinal, and that particular plant is great and really helps a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. I remember when I was sitting with you down in Nashville with we won't give out names, but one of the guys that works with the homeless ministry, he heard about some of the things I was going through when I was just newly diagnosed with MS. And he goes, "You know what, Pastor Bob?" He had a Southern drill, and he goes, "You need to start smoking bud."
Yeah.
Like, no, I could lose my credentials over that one.
You
but
could.
the thing is
Yeah.
with CBD, if it was for Corey asking if it was containing THC, which gets you the high component, then it would be illegal to have the store right there on Main Street in
Yeah,
Wapaka. So
absolutely. Bob, I do a podcast with the police chief here in the city that I live in, James. You've met James,
yeah,
I think, have you not? Yeah. And James and I did a whole podcast on the differences and why there's one is great for you and the other one maybe not so much. And that's on our YouTube channel, and he'll find it there.
sure. Well, let's see. Let's back up here a little bit. Carrie Kelly said I would miss the hugs. There's a joke there
Oh
because
yeah.
I would miss the hugs, honestly, but both times that we have had COVID exposures within the church, that person ended up hugging me. So, so that
Yeah.
she said that. And
Now, Carrie is a very good hugger.
yes,
She's good at it.
yep,
Yeah. I would
she's a
miss Carrie hugs too.
yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute with coming down if we see what the future brings. But Gary
Yeah.
made mention that he's making homemade beef jerky in the oven. So
Ooh, that sounds
that
awesome.
sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Now, yeah, in the oven, that means you're probably dehydrating it. That's probably how you make it, is it?
I would think so, but we'll let Gary
Yeah,
answer that. So Corey
that's
said that's
cool.
good to know about CBD. So that's good.
Yeah.
One, just if you could backpedal a little bit, the picture that you held up, regarding the church and the building.
Yes,
Um, if somebody wanted to download that, so there's people watching right now, but there's also people that'll be watching in the future. Where can they go to get
absolutely.
that?
I have all of my posters, and this is a poster, it's a mug. All of my posters are mugs as well. Here's the one for this month. It says every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. And this is a mug as well. All of these are at wearemetalwearefamily.com.
Okay,
And all the posters are just a download. Just download them and print them out. And they're 7 by 5,
nice.
and kind of nice to put them on your refrigerator, on
Yeah,
your
and
mirror,
people can
wherever.
get a
Yeah.
picture of it behind you on your wall there. There's the newest
Yes.
posters hanging.
Oh, this side. Yes.
Yep, there you go. I
There,
did the
right
same thing
there.
on
Yes.
Sunday. I was like, right over here,
Where are we at? Yeah. Yeah. Where
Okay,
am I at?
so you can address this or you can not address it. One of the
Okay,
questions
sure.
was, I'm hoping, let's see. So Corey said, I'm hoping to get a deer tomorrow with the snow so I can get meat. LOL. His question was, hate to ask more things, but what's Bob Beeman's political views on things going on?
Well, I I don't talk a lot about politics because
Yeah.
it's probably the one mostly divisive thing. But I think as Christians right now, we have probably a huge mandate during this time to help to bring peace. And Bob, I did a podcast on this today where I just talked about that, it isn't the Christians need to get out there and fight more, or that we need to argue more, or that we need to, solidify our political views. It's that we need to learn how to love unconditionally a whole lot more.
Right.
And I think that is our challenge going through this difficult political time is how do we love people who we may not agree with? And right now, there are people I adamantly disagree with, and we're probably all at that place. It seems like whichever side of the fence you're on, you adamantly disagree with the other side,
Yeah.
you
Isn't that
know.
the truth?
And so I just think, the one thing that Christ gave us was just that, love, 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 love God, love others, love you.
And Corey
And
just asked
it's
what the website was again, so I put it up there for him on the screen.
good. We're a metal, we're a family. There's another one, love, 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 love God, love others, love you. It's the biggest commandment that Jesus gave us. And that's kind of the bottom line. When we learn how to do that, a lot of our differences will disappear. A lot of our fighting will disappear. A lot of our, extreme hatred for each other
Oh yeah.
disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the case. At the end of the day, you can state your views, and people, that followed me on Facebook, they know where I stand politically, but I honestly don't care if they're Democrat or whatever. Let's hang out. That's the beauty of church, is
Well, it
being
is.
together.
Yeah. I love that part. And, you know, Bob, again, I'm 68. I've been through a lot of elections and a lot of politics, and I was born on election day.
Ah,
And actually, my birthday this year was on election day too, November 3rd. Um, but I've seen a lot of presidents come and go, a lot of elections, Democrat, Republicans come and go. I've never seen it divide like this before. It's never been had this dark spiritual element with it before. And I can't help but think about, when the Bible says our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against, principalities,
yeah,
against the prince of this dark world. And I think a lot of what we're going through right now it's beyond political, it's spiritual.
yep,
And I think it has to be fought with spiritual things. And gosh, the one spiritual thing that we have to fight with the most is the unconditional love of Jesus Christ.
yep, yep, and that's true. I agree with you on every point of that. With there's just something deeper spiritually going on here that
Yes,
um,
it
you know,
is.
all we can do is see how it plays out. And
Yeah.
and
And I can't help but think, Bob, that God's got this.
oh yeah, absolutely. There's
I'm just
nothing
not
new.
worried. I wake up every morning with expectancy, and I know that He has the whole world in His hands.
Yep, that sounds like a song.
We could break out in
Yeah,
song.
and you mentioned that election day is on your birthday, and some people just joined us, and so just to clarify, you're 50 years old. So,
Yeah,
um,
right, right.
yeah. So, backing up really quick, Gary asked us if we want an order of beef jerky. That was very nice,
Well,
Gary.
yes, that sounds good. Is
Uh,
is he making it for sale?
right. And then
That's
the
awesome.
same Gary, and he's probably your age, maybe a little older. I'm going on a limb there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I offended you, Gary. But he says I first met Bob in Anaheim, I believe, about 35 years ago.
Wow.
So
Okay, so was it with Sanctuary? Was I speaking at a conference? What was it, Gary?
yeah, we'll have to wait and see what Gary says here. But
Yeah,
I
Anaheim.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think that's so amazing. Like even in Wapaka and Stevens Point, like when we first brought you in 2008 or whatever, um,
Yeah,
Jack came over from Appleton. He was the guy that was part of your church. Jack, he's Vietnamese, I
that's
believe.
Jack Hong.
Yeah. So yeah, he
Yeah.
came over and he goes, yeah, I was used to attend his church, and it's just neat to see how many people that were a part of
Oh,
the church just all over the
so
place.
awesome. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Did he clarify where I met him in Anaheim?
Not yet.
Okay, that's
The
interesting.
Facebook comments are a little delayed versus what
Yes.
we're talking about here.
Well,
So
in Anaheim, many years ago, long before Sanctuary, if you remember Dr. Walter Martin, he started the Bible Answer
oh
Man.
yeah,
I worked with Dr. Martin in Anaheim. Gosh, it's 40 some years ago
wasn't
now.
he the Bible answer man?
Yes.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
fact, he did 6 videos on the cults and the occult, and I'm in the one about music with him, actually.
Oh,
All of those years ago, I had a little poofy afro in those days.
a little poofy. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm wondering what else in Anaheim. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, we'll see if Gary weighs in. We have wearemetal.wearefamily.com on the screen, and somebody asked how can they hear your podcasts. The link is right there, so they can go to We Are Metal, We Are Family.
I'm not sure if they can, but to hear my podcast, it's just Pastor Bob Beeman is my Facebook. But we're all on YouTube, Bob, and
Okay, well, I'm gonna
that's the
switch.
Sanctuary International Matrix.com.
I'm gonna switch over here and put Sanctuary International back on the screen here, and that's Corey,
Yeah,
where you
they can go
can
there too. Yeah.
That's where you can go visit and hear his daily podcast. So Gary said, I am 63. Ooh, I'm sorry, Gary. I didn't mean to say. I always get myself in trouble with that. we had one couple that used to go to our church years ago, and I said, yeah, we don't have a whole lot of mid 70-year-olds in the church, and they're like, we're 61. I was like, oh, oh no.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
But Gary said, I'm 63, and I think it was with Sanctuary. It was with a metal concert, I do believe. So, yeah, that was what you were doing out there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. That may have been Metal Mardi Gras. That was in that area too.
Wow, that's an
Okay.
iconic thing.
That'd be 1987. Yeah. Well, great, Gary. Good.
That would have been an iconic concert to be at in the Christian metal realm.
It was so cool. It was the very first Christian metal festival.
Huh.
Very first one.
Well, Gary said I'm in trouble, so I'm guessing I don't get any beef jerky. So
Hopefully I'm not in trouble yet.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so regarding that, I mean, so Gary is an old metalhead at heart here, and
Great.
you used to be very involved in festivals all over the world, and I assume like Elements of Rock and stuff are still going on. Are you still having input on those?
Yeah, I still do. I still help plan quite a few festivals, and I'm just kind of slowing down with my health a little bit for a little while, but I plan to get going again. And in fact, I was just talking to them with Elements of Rock, and I'll probably be
Wow.
back over in Switzerland this year. So here's an interesting little tidbit. You ready for this?
Yeah,
Because, the Lord worketh in mysterious ways.
that's right. Elwood Blues.
Yeah. So one of the guys that from Elements of Rock that I've known ever since he was a kid has come over a couple times, to work here in the homeless ministry with us. His name is Jean Marco, and Jean Marco has come over for 3 months at a time twice now. And so the last time he was here, which was last year, um, my brother Tracy came also to visit and brought a few of his kids with him. He has 5 kids. And he has a daughter that is about the same age as Jean Marco. And it was love at first sight
Huh.
for the two of them. And so Jean Marco and my niece Gwen are actually getting married
Wow, how
in
cool is that?
Switzerland in May. How cool is that?
Yeah, you're a matchmaker.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
it's
Well,
pretty cool.
well, if you start traveling again, you got to make Wapaka one of your stops.
Yeah, I'm ready. I miss being there. I really love being there with you guys. I'm excited to come back.
That'd be fun.
That'd be great. Yes.
Gary said, I used to do the salary for several churches and concerts for about 30 to 35 years. So got a little, quite a bit of experience out there.
Wow. Yeah.
Corey was wondering, and there's more people watching, so feel free to weigh in. Unless you're just enjoying
Great.
conversation, that's okay too. The introverts, they're on there, but they're not saying anything.
Well, Bob, I think they're just enjoying our good looks.
I think maybe.
It's rare that you get two Bobs together, but when you get two good-looking Pastor Bobs together,
I'm
that's a
sure they
whole
were like,
different
wait,
thing.
why is George Clooney and Brad Pitt on the screen? You know?
I would think that. I
Yeah.
would think that. Yes.
So he was asking, I know Pastor Bob's story kind of, but I'm interested to know how Bob Beeman became a Christian or how he found God.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I was involved in a lot of drugs and a lot of sex and a lot of, alcohol and fast living and all of that. And then I became a Christian when I was 5.
There you go.
Now, and honestly, I became a Christian when I was 5. The Lord called me to be a pastor when I was 6, and I've just done that all of my life. So I don't have one of those stories. I've never tried drugs. In fact, the only times I've ever tasted alcohol is during communion in some churches that use real alcohol. I'm still a virgin to this day. I'm not married, and I don't have one of those other kinds of stories, but I have the best kind, and that's God's ability to keep us, which is so good, isn't it, Bob? You
Oh
you
yeah.
have a life very similar to that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very similar to that. Yeah.
yeah.
Same upbringing, brought up in church. You know,
Yes,
grandma helped start the church. My mom was raised in it. She raised us in it. Well, it's just got saved when I was 9 years old at a Royal Ranger powwow. So
that is so cool.
yeah.
And my grandmother started the church that I grew up in.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah,
And
one of
yeah,
the
same
people
here.
started it.
Alcohol, not a
Yeah.
non-negotiable. I talked about that on a Sunday morning and used the phrase, that you've shared with me before, that I'm an alcoholic that's never had a drink before. And
Yes.
for some people that it takes them a while to think about that, but I think it's a Bob thing. Whatever we do, we go all in. And
Yes.
I know for me personally, alcoholism was in the family line with all the way up to my
Oh,
grandpa, and my dad has broke that cycle, and
good for him.
I'm afraid of
Good.
where I'd go if my biggest
Yeah.
fear, and maybe yours too, is there's good scriptural support as to why not. I think society provides a stronger point as to why you shouldn't drink in excess. But I'm honestly afraid that if I took a drink, I would like it, and I don't want to go there.
I totally agree, and that's why I haven't too. Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very same reason. Yeah,
but
it's a
going back,
Pastor Bob thing.
it is, yes. Going back to Corey's thing too. Now you going into working with the metal community. I remember, and I don't know the whole story, but you knew that was what you were going to do because at some point you were riding a tractor, listening to the Doobie Brothers.
Well, that's close.
Okay,
I was 15, driving the tractor, listening to Norman Greenbaum,
Spirit in the
"Spirit
Sky.
in the Sky." Yeah, and loved the song. Oh my gosh! Um, and I just thought, wow, Christian lyrics, and it's rock and roll music. And from that point on, I knew I wanted to have something to do with Christian rock and roll, and it really didn't exist at that point. And so I met Larry Norman and all the early guys, and became great friends with them, and we worked on music and promotions and all that stuff. I played piano with some of their stuff, and started all those years ago, 1969, 1970. um, and then it just I decided that if I was ever to be so involved in a movement again, like that was, the Jesus People movement, that
Yeah.
that I would get really involved in the discipleship part of it, because that was the thing that I saw lacking, in that early movement. And then um, when I met the guys from Striper, they were just becoming Striper. They were called Rock's Regime, and all these bands were just starting to come out. we started Sanctuary, and that was kind of the metal arm. And I promised God that I would stay on the edge wherever the edge was, and so we did metal, we did punk, we did reggae. Mark Moore, the singer for Christafari, is a Sanctuary pastor as well.
Huh.
They
Yeah.
started in my church as well. POD started in my church, so we've had a lot of different kinds of music, not just metal, but mostly metal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a music lending library at our church, and the first batch of CDs that we got in was Christafari's new album. It's just neat
Oh,
to see
that's
them
awesome.
still doing things.
Yes.
So
Yeah, they're doing great, as a matter of fact.
Carrie said, "Why should the devil have all the good music?" That sounds like a song
Yes.
too.
I want the people to know that he saved my soul, but I still like to listen to the radio. Yeah, good song.
Yep.
Larry
You know,
Norman.
I was watching old YouTube clip, not old, but um, it was Larry Norman sitting down with DC Talk singing "Wish We'd All Been
Ah,
Ready." And I got
yeah.
I'd be interested to know your thoughts. I was watching this, and it was at the GMAs, and Larry Norman just looked pained to be there. Like,
Oh, he hated that kind of stuff.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
ask. What do you think his take would have been going into what we have currently?
Um, yeah, I
Let me
think
back that up. Maybe
yeah.
what he would say seeing top 40 Christian music, not because there's always good stuff on the underground, but yeah, I
Well,
guess I was wondering about that.
um, well, Larry had a top 40 hit before he became a Christian. I mean, that's kind of where he started. And
Yeah,
so he came out of that and was happy to get out of that because he saw everything wrong with it. And I think that, he was a very rebellious person by nature. Um, uh, like all of us, made some mistakes, did some things that probably shouldn't have done. And his life wasn't perfect. But I think the one thing that he always did was love the Lord and wanted to serve God through non-traditional ways. And I think the whole Christian top 40 thing, he would have run as quickly as he could the other direction. Absolutely.
he just had moments had his that face on him like I get when I'm at the dentist. Like, why am I here? You know. It's
Yes,
just-
yes.
but
Totally.
Gary said he was in sound ministry out there, so that's
Oh,
probably no doubt you guys cross paths quite a bit. So
yeah, I'm sure. That's
yeah.
awesome. What a great ministry. Good.
Uh, Corey said, "Have you guys listened to King and Country's new album? Basically, it's a Christmas one, but it's great." I have not, honestly.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
So, if I get a
No.
chance, if it run across on the radio, I'll maybe give it a listen. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Man, it's hard. It used to be, Bob, and you remember because you're old. Well, you've been around Christian music for a while, but there was a time when every Christian album that came out, you listened to it
oh yeah,
because there weren't that many. And especially if you were a record buyer at a Christian store, which you were,
yep,
you got the demo,
oh yeah.
you
That
know,
was a
had that
beautiful day
had that
when the
little had that little hole punched in the corner,
yep,
and it was for the demo rack, and
and
you
the
got the
X'd out
demo, and
buy four get one free coupon. Yep,
yes, yes. And you listened to everything that came out because it was few and far between. And these days, who can even begin to keep up? It's a nice problem, but I just don't hear everything I'd like to hear.
yeah. Yeah, even in going into I remember vaguely in the 80s, the early 80s, my brother's first album that he ever bought, and he was so excited about it, was Amy Grant's El Shaddai album. But there
Awesome.
again,
I love that album, by the way.
yeah, it's one of those that everybody had because that was the latest thing that was out, and so you listened to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I remember my first Amy Grant experience at Knott's Berry Farm in California. And it was a night I was actually with Keith Green that night.
huh.
And Keith Keith performed at the Cloud9 Ballroom, and it was an amazing thing. We went out afterwards and did a lot of talking, and but we walked around before Keith's thing started, and he was there doing sound check and everything. So I can't remember who else was with me, but we were walking around just seeing some of the other acts. And tucked away in just this little corner was this really young girl who was singing, and we just stopped to listen to her. She was amazing. Had the coolest heart, the coolest music, and she did a song that said, "I have my father's eyes,"
Yeah.
and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so, I mean, it's one of those things where you just got goosebumps. And she didn't have an album out yet.
Yeah.
It was just very, very beginnings of her career. And I remember when that album came out, you know, I wasted no time in getting it. I've always been a huge Amy Grant fan.
Oh yeah.
I think she's amazing.
Yeah. Regarding that song, I remember my youth pastor growing up. He goes, "Oh, that's one word. That's one song you don't go on and get messed up and say I've got my father's thighs."
That would be another song.
That would
Yeah,
be a different
right.
song. That'd be the B side.
That would be a Ray Stevens song, right
Yeah,
there.
right. No, I've always pictured Amy Grant kind of as and they've worked together as kind of the female counterpart to Rich Mullins, because they you know
Yeah,
kind of blazed their own trail. She was definitely more top 40 pop, but that she had that trailblazer kind of spirit about her. And
she did. But Bob, the one thing that stood out and still does, I think she radiates still, is that she loves the Lord.
yeah,
And from the very beginning, you put on her albums and you felt that.
yeah,
I mean, her music was just, and she wrote her own stuff basically, and it was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yes.
Well, Carrie Kelly said, since you were throwing out names there, she said second chapter of Acts, Evie, Honey Tree, Lamb, Phil Kagi.
Oh, stop! I have stories on all of them.
One of the coolest times that I got to be at Cornerstone was like second to last year they did it, and they had a Jesus Movement night on the main stage, and it was
Oh, cool.
man, Barry McGuire, Randy Stonehill, Classic Petra.
Yeah,
There was one other group there that everybody seemed to know, but I honestly never heard of them. But it was just cool to see all those bands reunited. It was pretty neat.
that's so cool.
And we had
Well, I have a
Matthew
lot
Ward
of
at our
history
church
with all
once.
of
So
them.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So
great.
then Corey said, "Bob, sorry about your upcoming surgery. Hope it's going to be easy." Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one. I don't look
No.
forward to any of them, but I'm ready for 2020 to be done. It's just,
Oh, you're done with surgeries, aren't you,
oh
Bob?
my gosh, I don't know what, sometimes you sit back and you're like, God, what are you trying to tell me here?
Yeah,
Or what,
exactly.
what the
Yeah.
situation is. But if anybody's got a revelation for me,
Maybe. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Right. Well,
But
before too long, you'll be the bionic man.
right. And this next one is dealing with my nose. So maybe there's a message in there, shove it up your nose, or something like that. I don't know.
Or up your nose with the rubber hose, because I
There you
think that's
go.
what they have to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the hernia surgeries, I could wrap my mind around, but this septum surgery, where they go in and have to chisel some of the bone and stuff, I'm not down with that.
No,
So
no. I'm so sorry you have to have that done, Bob.
maybe, thanks. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. So, but maybe that'll be my moment to become a metalhead. I'll have them put a big hoop in,
Could you?
Yeah.
Now, would you raise your hand and say, "I promise I'll do that"?
I'll raise this hand and keep these fingers crossed,
Yeah.
That would be nice. So Tracy gets me
Yes.
back in the waiting room, and here I come out with a big old hoop in my nose.
And she would be so excited for that.
She would. That would be a proud moment.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, Carrie said the doc is going to install zippers on you soon. Yeah, Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just open them up and redo it. And I read something that when you hit your mid 40s or 50s, the check engine light comes on, and I'm finding that to be very true.
Wow.
So, but so what do you got going on with how's the homeless ministry doing through all the COVID situation? And yeah, and you guys really felt the BLM stuff down there as well. It's like, man, one thing after
Yeah.
another with your ministry.
Yeah, we have, Bob, we had a devastating tornado, if you remember, at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. And and it just wasn't very long after that that we had to deal with the COVID. And the tornado, actually, we serve under a bridge, and even the brick building that was about 30, 40 feet away was devastated, demolished. Brick building. I mean, the tornado went right through there. There were cars on top of the bridge right above us that were turned over. So it was devastating, and people lost their lives, and they lost everything they owned, and they were traumatized. And then we had the COVID, so we couldn't spend personal time with them. We couldn't get closer than 6 feet. We had to wear a mask, and we still do. I mean, we still have that kind of spacing.
Yeah.
So because of it, there's not any interaction. There's still all these laws about them wearing masks and how far their tents have to be apart and all of that. So right now, drug abuse, alcoholism is running rampant,
Oh,
and there are ministries down there passing out clean needles for people that are shooting up.
really?
Yeah, it's way out of hand, and I'm just so ready for the virus thing to lift so we can get in there and start hugging some of our homeless friends again, and just really beginning to help them, because if there was ever a time they needed help, it's now. We haven't skipped a beat. I mean, we're there every single day in two locations,
Wow.
under the bridge and in a tent city. Also, we serve both places every single day, and so we haven't missed anything. We're still in communication, but it's like we said before, it's the distancing and everything is just not the same, is it?
No, no. And then to compound that, you had to move your place or move your where you were serving because of the protests and all that stuff going on. You just been barraged
Yeah,
with hurdles.
yeah. Some Black Lives Matter people moved into the place where we were serving under the bridge and wouldn't allow us to come down. And some black folks that called us every name in the book because we were white, and didn't care what we were there for. They just
Oh,
wanted to abuse. They're gone now. So, but we still haven't been able to really open up under the bridge yet. There's just way too many people under there.
yeah, yeah. Well, some people from the church have asked, when we're able to travel again, if we could come down and just that they could just serve, once or twice or
Oh,
whatever. And
that'd be
that's
awesome.
that's an easy drive down there, but
Yeah,
I need to get down there first and visit with you. So,
I'd love that. Come on.
so, but the sheds are holding up that we were able to help build for you, and
They're awesome. We just did some major reconstruction on the food shed. Um, we have this huge refrigerator and freezer, the kind that have the big double doors and they're
oh yeah,
glass, and and we actually kicked out a huge hole in the side wall and recessed them. So actually, they're sitting outside, and it gives us a whole lot more room inside then.
wow, and
So,
that's easier said than done. Because then you got to expand the base, the foundation of that shed.
yep, yeah, we had to do all of that, and but it was pretty important because we're fixing more food than we ever had, and so we just had to open up a little more room to do it. But
And I tell you,
yeah,
so one guy said, Corey said, I'd love to go down and serve carpool with Bob. And
yes,
that sounds like a new podcast, Carpool with Bob. And,
carpool. I think it might catch on. I like that idea.
right. um, but you haven't, a person hasn't lived until they've seen Bonnie make coffee out of a sock.
Yeah, yeah.
when, when I first saw
She,
her do that, I was like, what in the world is this going on?
well, and she would do that. We'd buy new socks and she would fill it with the coffee and then this big pot of water and then just let it sit until it was just right. And she'd test it and okay, this is good. But I watched her do that with a lot of different things, and we didn't know how to feed this many people at a time, and she still does. She's 90 now,
Wow.
Bob. She turned 90 in June, and still going. She still makes out all the menus, and we have two employees here that work with the ministry full time,
Yeah.
and but she still makes out all the menus, tells everybody what to do, and oversees the whole thing. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I'll never forget one of the funniest times I had riding with you and your mom down to the bridge was during the whole Kaepernick thing with the NFL.
yes,
And
yeah.
she would just be talking about whatever. And then somehow would get to NFL. And then you would say, and he kneels for the, and then your mom would just riff on that again for like, that would just get her goat, you know?
Don't get her started.
Right. No, Bonnie will
Do,
roll right
do
over
you
you.
do you think she's just a little opinionated?
A
Maybe.
little bit. Yeah. And we met Bonnie when we first came down. Bonnie then was probably like 81 or 82. So, and we met before that. And for those that don't know the backstory, I always said when I become the lead pastor of a church, because I knew you when I was just a teen. I knew you
Yeah.
from Intense Records and stuff. But I always said the first person I'm bringing in as a guest speaker is Pastor Bob Beeman, and sure enough, I remember I approached you as like you were some unreachable megastar, and all of a sudden you like, I don't know, either you just emailed back right away or you just called me, and I was like, wow, that was like just the coolest thing. But yeah, and that's how our relationship got started.
And
After,
I am so thankful for that, Bob, because I can't tell you how much I treasure my relationship with you. It's been so great over the years, and not just because I've been there and you've been here, but we just have a lot in common and we're great friends.
yeah, yeah. What
Yeah.
people may not understand, and there isn't a whole lot of comments going on right now, but um what people don't understand is that you and I and the other podcasters, Rick, or no, not Rick, Scott, Don, Chris, Jamie, Andreas, we all talk almost daily, either through Marco Polo or
Yeah.
text. So it's like a brotherhood. I don't think there's a day
It
goes
is, isn't it?
someone's making some comment or needing prayer or some funny thing.
Yes,
So yeah, we have a tight friendship.
it has been just awesome.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
So well, I tell you what, it's coming up on 7:30 and I don't see any more questions rolling in. So I think we've solved all of the world's problems.
And it didn't even take but an hour.
No,
So
nope.
let that be an example to you.
Right. So,
Right.
but hey, if people want to get in touch with you, as we've said before, the website's on the screen, sanctuaryinternational.com, or the store is wearemfamily.com. Let me get
Yeah.
all fancy here with Switcher and put that back up as well.
Great.
And
Okay, thank
that way
you.
people can purchase. I mean, Sanctuary has their own coffee line. They have mugs. It's called Headbangers Brew.
We have coffee and just about ready to release our new tea before too long.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You can even get face
we got a
masks
lot of
from there.
plans. We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget the shower curtain.
Oh, there you go. You have a
Have
shower.
you have you
I
have
must
you
have missed
seen it?
that. No.
What? What? Well, the shower curtain is actually from my book called Seriously, and it's just this part. It just says seriously, and it has this picture.
That's amazing.
And it seriously is a shower curtain. In fact, if you come, there's one of them is hanging in the shower in the cabin right there that you helped build. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So that
And Bob, let me just say, just so people know, that everybody needs a Pastor Bob shower curtain.
I think this needs to happen.
It's one of those things.
Yep.
If you're looking for status, That'll get it for you.
So that's awesome. So
Yes.
yeah, they'll be able to find a lot of things there, and those downloads for those posters, which are free. So, um,
Yes.
well, good. And Corey said, I'm thankful I met Pastor Bob, actually both Bobs, since I started going to church last year. It turned things around. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so that's really good. And we started a
Well, good for you,
library at our,
Carrie.
what's that?
I just said good for you, Carrie. That's awesome.
Oh, Corey. Yeah.
Corey, I'm sorry.
Yep. So yeah, we'll have to order up a couple books. We have a lending library now at the church, so I'll have to get a couple of your books up here and put them on there. So
And a new one coming out in just a couple more weeks. So
that's exciting.
Headbanger's Guide to the Bible.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you guys, you have a good night, and everyone that's watching, thanks for joining us. We're going to do this next Tuesday as well.
Yes.
And thanks, Pastor Bob, for jumping in.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Always looking for a good excuse to spend time with you.
All right. Likewise.
All right.
Okay. Well, everybody have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.